and he's going to miss the blessing. And somebody had to talk to him and say, hey, time out. Master, come on, we travel a long road. Please, think about it. Why are you going to go angry back? You still sick. We have all these things that we brought with, and you're worse. Because your anger is going to kill you. And he said, you know what, you're right. Maybe I should humble myself. Maybe that will work. Yeah, maybe humility is necessary on this one. And he went back. And he did what he was supposed to do. The prescription didn't change. It was the same thing. Elijah didn't change a word. He had already told him the prescription. This is your prescription. Go. Have it. Do it. But now in humility, he comes back and does what he was told to do. Jesus is the greatest example of humility. Jesus wants to be our teacher. Jesus wants us to imitate him if we want to learn how to be humble. When Jesus said, I am the way, that's what it means. I am the way. I am the one who gives you the signals. Matthew 11:29. We're almost done. I know time is moving. Matthew 11:29 says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me. This is Jesus speaking. He says, take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. You know, sometimes we have problems. It could be in our job, anywhere. And if you look back, just a little humility could solve it. Just a little humility. I had a problem with my boss. I've been working there 6 years, and she came like 2 years ago. Lady boss, a little hard on me. We clash. And I'm like, excuse me, you don't talk to me like that. We clash. But then I started thinking, sometimes when somebody smacks you, that's what Jesus said, right? If somebody slaps you, sometimes you gotta give the other cheek. And I said, well, sooner or later I gotta learn that lesson. But I can't do it. I can't do it on my own. It's hard. But you just gotta say, Lord, I don't know how to do this. It's really hard. I wanna write emails, I wanna make a memo, I wanna do so many things, but I'm just gonna let it hit me. Teach me to be like you. It's not easy. And I'm not saying I'm there. I'm not saying, today you got your humility at work. But we learn. Slowly but surely. We must learn. Last biblical portion to share. John chapter 13, verse 3 to 11. He says, Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power, and that he had come from God and was returning to God. Listen to this. Jesus knew that his Father had put all things under his power. and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal. This is the Last Supper, communion, the Lord's Supper. And he says, he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus replied, "You do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand." Jesus replied, "No," said Peter, "you shall never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." "Then, Lord," Simon Peter replied, "not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well." Jesus answered, "Those who have had a bath need only to wash their feet. Their whole body is clean, and you are clean, though not every one of you." For he knew who was going to betray him, and that was why he said, "Not everyone was clean." Jesus came to this world in humility. Did you see the birth of the baby in England? You know, the King George? You see how King George came into the world? CNN, every channel. She's almost due. We follow her every step. We follow her. The best doctors, the best of everything. That's not how Jesus came into the world. He came in humility. The worst place where they could find, because there was no room for them at the inn. And he leaves the world the same way, humility. He came in humility and he leaves in humility. The last lesson he gave his disciples, he washed their feet. And that was if you could think, if you could put yourself in that society, that was the worst job or for a slave. People who had money had slaves. And some slaves, took care of this, some slaves took care of that, some slaves took care of that. And there was one slave assigned to wash people's feet as they came to your house. And Jesus does that on his last night with them. That's what it means, humility. It's a way of life. I'm not going to be able to get to prayer or seek his face or turn from my wicked ways. But humility is the one that the Lord wanted me to share today. The keys to victory. We're going to continue with the Lord's Supper. So I'm going to ask Pastor Romy and Elder Dante to please